So again, we've got some task boxes here, and they've got the same setup. They've got the little crosses in there and the darker box. And then down the bottom here, there's moods again. So I guess you have the option of doing your mood here per day or in the monthly view or both, I don't know. So again, you've got the happy, sad and neutral ones. There's a bit of space here. I don't know what that's for, maybe notes, very small notes. What looks like maybe like sunrise or sunset, and then just a sun. I don't know if that's tracking sunrise times or something. And then a little star. I have no idea what this stuff is for. I'm not using it at all. But if I run out of room, I might just write over here. But I don't know, if you track this kind of stuff, if you track your mood on paper every day, if you track the weather, this stuff is cool because you don't, unless you like drawing in the weather every day, which some people do, but if you can't be bothered or you want to be quick about it, but you want to have a record of it, that could be a cool way to do it. So I'll quickly show you where I've written in this one. So I'm writing in each day as I go. I should probably write my appointments all the way along. But I've only had it a couple of days, so I'm still figuring out how I want to set it out. And I've mostly been using one pen with blue ink here, so appointments don't really stand out yet. So you can see I've got a call tomorrow, a Google Hangout call, and I've kind of put a box around it to try and make it stand out a bit. But by the time I put tasks all the way down here, I don't know if it will stand out. These ones here, I did a little line coming out from the timeline to show that they were kind of events or blocks of time that I needed to set aside for particular things like lunch. I don't know. Yesterday I put all my tasks in here and I just crossed them off when they were done. I don't mind that, but I find it's a bit hard to tell. I can't really tell at a glance what's done and what's not. On this one, what I've done is these, so these little circles here for the hours. This is supposed to be a timeline. But I don't really have appointments most times. So like I've got one here. I think that's my only appointment all week is that one call. So I don't really need to use a timeline. What I really want is just a to-do list for the actual day. So what I tried doing today was I used my pen to go over the circle and just put a line around it. So you can see that they're blue. This one here is not because it's just lunch. It's not a task. And then these ones are blue, have blue circles for each one where I've added a task. And each little hour section has kind of two gridded lines. So I've used those full 2 lines to write my task. And then I've just added a little tick in the box for the ones I've done. I feel like maybe that's a little bit easier to see because I can just run down the list and see which ones are not done. And all I'm looking at is just this column here, rather than looking at all the text and trying to figure out which bits are crossed out and which bits aren't, because it all blends together a bit. But I don't know. I still need to figure out a way to kind of categorize my tasks. I think in the past in bullet journaling, I've done like just a letter next to them. And I've had like maybe 3 or 4 or 5 letter codes, depending on the type of task it is, like writing or for my business or freelance work. But there's not really a good spot to put those here. And I don't really want to rely on anything that means I have to have separate pens or highlighters. So I don't really want to do any color coding or anything like that because I want to be able to plan wherever I am just with the single pen. So I don't know, I'm still figuring it out. But you can see that I've pretty much used up almost the whole timeline here. Those are busy-ish days, but probably not quite as busy as those really long ones you saw in my Hobonichi Cousin. So I'm still not sure if they're going to fit too well. And then I've got a couple of tasks here that are just things that need to be done during the week. And I really like that. That's why I want a weekly view, is because I often have things that have to be done sometime this week, but not on a particular day. And I don't want to write them on Monday and carry them over every day. I feel like that's a waste, and it's frustrating because they're not actually due any of those days. But I don't want them just on Sunday because they're due throughout the week. I can do them anytime. So I like having that list there. And then the last thing is this part here, which is kind of before I wake up. So actually this dark colored circle here for the 6 is only half colored. So I guess at 6:30 they've decided it's daytime, which is great because that's when I wake up, coincidentally. But anyway, I'm never going to do any tasks up here. So what I've been using it for is something that I did in the Hobonichi. Wow, the Hobonichi's daily pages in the Cousin have these little task boxes up here, and they have 5. What I've been doing is I generally work on one habit at a time for the month. But I have a few habits that I've built in the past that I'm still tracking to make sure I remember them every day. And I put those up here. So I've had 4, which were to practice French, to floss, to exercise, and sometimes I write if it's a workout day or a rest day, then I might go for a bike ride or something instead. And I might put that there. And mousse is a tooth mousse. It's a stupid dentist thing that I have to do, which you can see I don't do. Oh, I was doing quite well there. I don't do it very often. Anyway, so I've been putting those every day, and basically that's a good reminder for me every morning that alongside my tasks, I need to do these things, and I see them all the time because I keep going back to this task list, looking at what have I not done. And at the end of the day, at nighttime when I'm planning the next day, I'll look down all my tasks and kind of migrate them or check them off or whatever. And I'll also go through these and see, are any of these not done that I have time to do now? Like the tooth mousse I usually do before bed, so that's a good chance to see, oh, I've forgotten to do that. Or I haven't flossed. I normally do that in the morning, but I have time now, I'll do that. So I've carried that over to here, and this section is quite handy for that. And you can see I've added one here, which is piano, because for the month of November, my focus habit is piano. These ones are all kind of good enough. I do them without trying most days. Or often enough, I should say. Often enough that I'm happy with those. So I still track them as reminders, but I've added piano there because that's the new one I'm tracking. And I like that there's not too much room, because in the Hobonichi there were only 5 boxes, and I don't really want to be tracking any more than 5 habits at a time. So you can see this one here where I put exercise, I put bike for tomorrow, because I'm not doing a workout. So I'll probably go for a bike ride or something instead. So that's what I use that section there, and there's kind of quite a dark line across there to separate it from my tasks, which I like. I think that's quite good. So that's pretty much it. Let's quickly go through the end pages. I'll show you also that it's actually a lot harder to see than in the Hobonichi. In the Hobonichi, you can see that there are these dark colors here. So I said that each month is color coded. So you can see here's November, and it's got this 11, so you always know you're in November, and it's green. And you can see that that's quite obvious there. This one does the same thing, but it's actually quite hard to see. I can't even really see it. But if we have a look in here, so that's 2016 December up there, and then there's a 12 there in pink. So, are these color coded? Maybe they are color coded after all. This part here is pink. I think that's to match that one. Now we're starting January. Oh, up here, January is kind of a bluey grey. So I guess maybe the orange is for Sundays and public holidays. Blue is for Saturdays. And then all the other days get the colour of that month. Maybe. Yeah, but these are always grey. They don't change colour, it's just that part there. So you can see there's a lot of colour going on. It's a bit much, but here we go. This is 1 and 2, so it's January and February. You can see January's got the bluey grey. February's got that kind of, I don't know, taupe, brown, beige colour. And then here March starts, and March has got pink. So they do have the coloured bits there to tell you what month it is, but I don't know, they're very hard to see from the edge. Not that it matters. I don't ever use that, but interesting. Okay, so I'll show you where this goes up to. Hopefully I've shown you enough to figure out if you want one of these or not, because I know they're quite expensive and hard to get. Okay, so here we are. This is 2018, January, and that's the 14th. That's the last week that's included. So you get a tiny, tiny bit of overlap. Nothing like what you get in the monthly and yearly sections where they go to March and April. So by 14th of January, you'll need a new planner. So then you've got this section, which is looking back on 2017. It looks like it's numbered 1 to 12 and then has an extra section. So I guess maybe monthly somethings, achievements or something. This is the only section, this 2-page spread is the only section of plain grid paper. So there's no note paper that comes with this, unlike the Hobonichi Weeks. Or you get a little bit in some of the other ones, but the Hobonichi Weeks has quite a big section of plain paper. However, you obviously have this idea book at the front, and that's what that's for. So I guess they thought you don't need that, which is fair enough. There's a bunch of maps here, if you think maps are cool, or if you happen to live in Japan, maybe that would be useful. I wouldn't mind having those for Melbourne, but anyway. World time differences. This made me laugh because I was confused about why ours was wrong, but I think they're all offset from Japan, which is fair enough. That's probably how I would do it if it was localized to Australia. I'd offset them to Melbourne. But anyway, don't get confused about that. It's not offset from GMT. There's no kind of international standard going on there. It's specifically for people in Japan. Personal data, I don't know, fax, email, Twitter, it's just your name and stuff, your address or whatever. Line, yeah, Line's popular in Twitter and Line. That's how popular it is in Japan. Interesting. I guess this is some contacts. This is all like telephone numbers sections. I don't know, too much of it's in Japanese, but I wouldn't use that anyway. And then some stuff about the company that makes it, I guess. So it's made by Kikuyo. They also make, you might have heard of, the Kikuyo campus notebooks. I'm pretty sure you can get those from JetPens. You can probably get them from Amazon, but I don't know. I think some bookshops maybe sell them here, but they're not super easy to get. But I've heard they're quite popular. With fountain pen users, the paper's quite good. I don't think it's Tomoe River, but you know, they know what they're doing in terms of fountain pen friendly paper. And they make lots of other cool stuff, Kikuyo. So this one's called the Jibun Techo, and it's one of the hardest ones to get from what I can tell. But anyway, I hope that gave you a good idea of what it's like, whether it would suit you, and whether it's worth the money. I would say, I've only had it a little while. I haven't used it heaps. I do think it's quite busy. I wish it was not quite as busy. I do like how the Hobonichi is more simple, a bit more calm to look at. But the paper's totally comparable. This one feels quite portable to me. It feels thin and light. And like I said, this one kind of feels heavy and clunky to me only because I happen to keep it in a bigger, chunkier cover. So that's not really fair to say. It's not that big. It certainly has a bit more room, being a full A5 than this one. But weight-wise, they're fairly comparable. This is maybe a little heavier, but it has that extra ideas notebook in. Before I put that in, when it was just the diary, I felt like these felt about the same. So it really depends on what you need, I guess. I guess I would say if you're thinking about getting the Hobonichi Weeks, which only has weekly and monthly pages and no daily pages, and you're not sure about it, in particular if you think it's too small, it's too thin, because it's only kind of, you know, that wide or so, and you're worried about that, or you prefer a bit more space per day and you think it doesn't have enough space per day, or you prefer a weekly layout for your weeks, definitely consider this. Have a look at this one. Like I said, it does come in a smaller size as well, which is either B6 Slim or just B6, the mini version. And as far as I know, the pages are the same. Don't take my word at that. I can't tell for sure because the details are in Japanese, but it seems like they're pretty similar. So you can even get a small one if you want, if this kind of layout appeals to you. But if you want day per page, this is definitely not the one to get. Yeah, I guess I would just say it's comparable to the Hobonichi, which is good because it seems like they're going head to head against Hobonichi with introducing the spotty and checked kind of cute covers, and they actually have a little grid comparing this one, or a table I guess, comparing this one to the Hobonichi on their site. And I was confused because I used Google Translate to translate the whole page, and it was comparing, they called this one their own notebook or his own notebook, they often call. I don't know if that's what Jibun Techo translates to, or I don't know. I've seen that written a few places. So it said kind of his own notebook compared to Another Day notebook. And I thought this Another Day notebook sounds quite good. It's got a day per page. I'm not sure yet, but I think I might want a day per page. And I thought it was made by them and couldn't find it. Eventually translated Another Day in Google Translate back to Japanese, and it's Hobonichi. So they're directly comparing it to Hobonichi, is my point. So they're certainly setting themselves up as a competitor. I think it is totally competitive if it suits your needs. But if it doesn't suit you, just stick with Hobonichi if you want day per page or something else that the Hobonichi does, or the different sizes. Anyway, I hope that's helpful. I hope you can figure out if you want one or not. And that's it.